everybody, and welcome to today's Epac Quarantine Chats. Now, today I have two people who I'm going to interview who work for the Dutch Apple, and we're going to talk to them, as you know, these things, so we get to know, you guys out there get to know on a more personal level the people who bring us all this great theater. So I have Lauren and Dean Sobon here today from Dutch Apple. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. So happy to be here.
Oh, I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see you, Lauren. We'll talk about that. But we go back a ways. And I was
A long way.
I had not met Dean, and this is so theater. We had talked. We had commented on each other's Facebook. We had never met. Hurdle. But first, tell us about what you do, your titles at Dutch Apple, because you both work at Dutch Apple.
Correct.
And tell us about your titles and what you actually do there.
Sure. I'm artistic producer for Prather Productions and the Dutch Apple. So I oversee productions. I handle a lot of casting as far as our productions are concerned, and then a liaison between our cast and producing creative entity once we go into production and as the shows run throughout the season.
Okay, so you just said something I want to stop, and then you said Dutch Apple and Prather Productions. Some people here might just think of Dutch Apple. So it's bigger than just Dutch Apple. So tell us about Prather Productions.
Sure, happy to. Prather Productions is our umbrella company, which consists of the Dutch Apple, Broadway Palm, and then also Prather Touring, Apex Touring.
Which has got very big now.
National tours, correct.
Yeah.
So, and international, yes. We just went to China this past summer and Saudi Arabia, which is crazy.
We're the first musical theater show from America to ever be in Saudi Arabia. So
wow, what show did you go over there?
I did not go to Saudi Arabia. We went to China, though.
Oh, China. What show did you bring to China?
We brought Wizard of Oz.
Okay. What show went to Saudi Arabia?
Wizard of Oz. It went from China to, it was just as far as the route was concerned, the next leg of the international route, which is a good segue into what Dean does for our company as well.
I'm the resident director of Dutch Apple and also the acting instructor for Dutch Apple.
Oh, cool.
Also have directed 3 of their tours.
Oh, wow. Okay, very good. So do you direct most of the productions there, Dean? Are you the director of most of the productions there?
It's split up. We have our sister theater in Florida, so whoever's working, like I might be doing a tour, so they might send somebody from Florida up to do something at Dutch Apple. This past year, 2 years, Wizard of Oz took up a lot of our time.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
A pretty big tour. That's touring a lot, as we talked about. That's touring a lot, and that's turned into a pretty big thing, right, for you guys? That goes all over. That goes all over.
Correct. Yeah, we started with that in-house and then carried it over to 2 national tours. So for 2 years, it toured the country and then finally ended up with that international leg. Oh. And we have a few resident directors that we rotate. We definitely like to try to make sure that we're bringing in some new guest artists as well throughout the season.
Okay.
No, it's not just me all the time. It's gonna be boring.
Now, you have a little girl, right? Am I right in this? Or am I right?
Correct.
How old is she?
Piper Sobon is not so little anymore. She is 14 years old. She's a teenager in the best possible way.
Is she into theater like her mom and dad?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, she's amazing. She has been brought up in theater, so that's what she knows. She started on the stage when she was 8 years old, and she certainly has opportunities that she seeks out on her own that's not even within our company. She's done a lot of things with AMT as well, and gone and done some other things as well. So we're very proud of her.
Oh, yes.
Now, so Lauren, you're in charge of, as artistic producing director, so not only Dutch Apple, but the tours and the whole shabeel, whatever it is, the whole A whole baby.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Brian Ensman and I are artistic producers for the tours. So as we said, we juggle a lot of titles. So for example, this year, we at one point had Wizard of Oz internationally once had started up, which Brian Ensman was in charge of that tour. And then we layered in Finding Neverland 2, which I produced, which is a national tour, and just recently shifted over to Chicago, which was kind of a surprise title for us going into the new year.
Yeah, very good. So let's talk how you guys got into theater. So let's go back and then we'll go forward. Now, we'll start with Lauren, because Lauren, how long have I known you and when did we first meet? I could not remember.
Because it's so long ago. I need to take a drink of that. I believe we met in about 1990.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I went to Millersville University. I'm a proud Millersville alumni. And through theater classes, Jean Ellis, I believe, was the first person that kind of encouraged me to go and audition for Epac. And the first show that I ever did with you was Candide.
Mercy, that was 1990. Yeah.
At 90, am I right?
That was
90.
yeah, that was 1990. Yeah. Yeah, that's how people in theater judge their life, by their show.
Exactly. That's the timeline.
That's the time. What show was I doing? Yeah, that was 1990. Yeah.
And I always proudly say, Ed, that you taught me so much in just the short, brief time that I was able to spend with you. Your heart and passion for theater and direction was an honor to work under, and truly inspired me to want to drive even further into this business.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned Chicago. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were you not choreographer on the first Chicago we ever did?
I was.
Yes.
Talk about full circle, right? Isn't that crazy?
Full circle.
Yes, that would be your Chicago .1. Is that right? Because you've done it now.
.1. Yep. That's when we were the first people to do it, and everybody, remember, we thought we were going to be run out of town because by then, and those days it was considered filthy. Remember that?
Yes. Yes. And kudos to you for being able to raise that bar continuously as far as bringing innovative theater and theater that considers, pushing the envelope within our region. But yes, I remember the costumes and how we were like, how are we going to do this? Everybody's in bras and panties.
Everybody's in bras and panties. And remember, I'll never forget the chorus boys in Chicago and the Roxy number and how we had them dressed. Oh my God. I still have that on I think I had it converted to DVD. It's a hoot. But yeah.
I would love to see that someday.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Maybe I'll download it and send it to you. So that's great. So tell us how you, so after that, and you went to Millersville, you started working at Epac. So, and then what happened? And you got where you were theatrical. Like, how did you wind up where you are now?
So, stepping stones along the way. I also I did a production of A Chorus Line a long time ago at York Little Theater, and it changed my life. I was Morales singing What I Did for Love every night, and kind of realized that this is the avenue I needed to go and to pursue. So I literally quit my day job. And I feel like a little bit I ran away to join the theater, and kind of moved into Prather. Also then was doing A Chorus Line, and they saw me and asked me, Ray Ogden asked me to come and audition for them. So I went and auditioned for them, and that segued into work as far as the season with them was concerned. And then we were just opening the Florida theater, and then I went down there and did a season with them in Fort Myers, Florida, and met my lifelong friends as well there. We all moved to New York City together in an apartment and lived there, and started auditioning for national tours, and that's how Dean and I met, and pretty much have been in the business ever since then.
Wow. You don't act anymore, do you? Now you're just
I do not. Although I always say, never say never. Someday. I use a lot of my acting chops when I'm dealing with people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, believe me, I know. Comes in very handy.
It does. It does. But no, I enjoy being on the other side of the business, and certainly giving opportunity to young artists and providing that is so rewarding and fulfilling, as you know, to see something that you see it conceptually and then to come to fruition is an amazing feeling. So
it really is. It really is. So turning to you, Mr. Dean, who I know nothing about. I did not know you when we did our first Chicago. So tell me now. You tell me your story.
Okay, well, I was raised in New Jersey, a very blue-collar town. Played lots of sports, football, pole vaulting, wrestling, name it, baseball. Always knew that I wanted to kind of get out of that town. Never was in the arts or anything like that. Never was pushed in the arts. The arts kind of found me somehow. Somebody said, you have a good voice. You should audition for this performing arts school. And then I was like, sure, I might as well. Found a monologue, didn't even know what a monologue was. Got a song and learned it. Was thinking, I can't do this. Turns out I got in. It's probably because I was a boy. Most likely, because I think there's 4 of us in the whole group of 50 or 60 girls.
Right.
But anyway, I immediately fell in love with it. Right after I graduated from my high school, I went to New York. I went to AMDA for 2 years, and then after that, started working on a regular basis. I've done as an actor 11 tours. So I was going from tour to tour to tour to tour all over the world. So that was nice. And then I met Lauren on the 50th anniversary tour of Get Your Gun. We were together ever since then, 97, 96, 97. Yeah, so we've been together ever since. We were working until 9/11 happened. I just got home from a tour. And then we decided that we weren't going to travel as much. We didn't want to travel as much. And we also were talking about wanting to raise a family. Having come out to this area of Lidditz and loving it, we decided to move out here and to start a family. And
Lauren, are you from Lidditz? Are you from Lidditz?
From Lidditz.
Okay.
Yes, I'm from Lidditz originally. So I kind of brought the New York boy back home. I don't know. He was not really sold on it originally.
Jersey boy.
At first, I was like, there's always people
boy.
trying to sell me corn. People are saying hi to me, and they really mean it. They're nice. Don't get this.
So you decided to move back to Lidditz, right? Because and then how did you get? I'm sorry if I missed that, but how did you get involved with Dutch Apple through Lauren?
Oh, Dutch Apple. It's kind of funny. I did a show with them back in '95 down at their sister theater in Florida. And then Lauren actually left a week before I got there. So I never met her then. But then, so I had that connection to Dutch Apple. Knowing that we were going to move, she had a huge connection to Dutch Apple and the Prathers.
Right.
So I came in and I knew of people, so I also came in with it.
Right.
Dutch Apple.
So when we first moved back to the area, we were still performing or choreographing at that point and kind of
teaching and all that kind of stuff.
So we kind of segued in there. And then Sandy Kalan, one of my mentors, when she left because she moved to Ohio, that's when the job opening kind of associate producer opened up, and I kind of transitioned into then being behind the table.
Cool.
And Dean has always just been a director and actor as well. He still performs every once in a while. As far as
I like directing a lot more though, just because I could dwell in on it, and I don't have to be nervous about can I learn these lines anymore.
I know.
Even though when I'm directing, I learn everybody's part and I can say the words along with them. I know it's not a problem. It's just that I kind of like being behind the scenes now.
No, I know what you mean. I was talking to somebody about that, and I still act occasionally too. But the older you get, the lines you get harder to remember. There's something about directing that acting can be very uncomfortable and vulnerable because you're looking in. Am I good enough? Am I singing right? Do I look good enough? My costume. It's all about you, kinda, and it's all you turn the energy inward. But directing, it's everything's going out. You're not.
That's what I like about it too.
That's what I like about it too. Yeah, and you mouth everybody's lines as well.
Oh my gosh, all the time. Like I could be saying the whole entire show. And when it's something I really know, like West Side Story, it's even worse because I know every single line. It's almost ridiculous.
See your feet do the choreography.
Oh yeah, I could do that. I'm like, yeah, it's unbelievable.
I've always been known for that. We've got letters of complaint that I'm distracting if I'm watching the show because I'm switching.
Because you're in the theater. You're in the theaters saying the lines as well.
It got so bad in I have to hide myself. If I really love a show like Ragtime, just did Ragtime, and like Wheels of a Dream would come on, the tears would be rolling from my face, and it was like the first time I saw the number every night. So I had to squeeze myself in the back of the theater, up in the north section or in the middle section, up all the way by the lighting. I just squeezed myself in there and hide in the corner. I knew I couldn't stop myself from mouthing it.
For me, it's something happens or somebody messes up, and I go, oh, in the middle of the theater, throw out my hands.
Yeah, when we're in previews, sometimes like previews, I'm like, you have to be like in the very back and quick escape because if something goes wrong,
I can't help it. It's that passion. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's the worst thing that ever happened.
That horrible moment where you're like, oh, what's going on? Then you have to run down and run back around. I know. Yeah. So that's fun. So tell us about what's happening now at Pray the Productions. What are you guys going?
Nothing right now. Nothing's happening.
So we have a cabaret that we've been doing, a virtual cabaret, which we started, and that's a great creative outlet for some of our creatives to work on every week and to pull in our alumni. That's gratifying. But as of right now, we are just in a holding position like every theater.
Like everybody else in the whole world.
Trying to plan how we are going to do this. I feel like now we're starting to get stronger steps forward.
And some answers, before I felt like, even a month ago or 3 weeks ago, everybody was on a holding pattern. Nobody can give an answer because we're all waiting for science.
Yeah,
we're all waiting for answers from the scientists, and that takes time. So
right,
we've had to push back 2 variations of openings, which I'm sure you've had the same situation as well.
The fairy tale, the optimistic, and hope we can do this.
Exactly. And I mean, we're still striving for a possible June opening. That is still on the books, but we will know more at the end of this next week. Then our contingency pushes it back even further. And then with the possibility of moving to a different show, I'm not sure when this airs. We might know more then, but as of right now, we're in a holding position and just, praying for that time of when we can all provide live theater again for our audiences.
I feel like it's going to go state by state. I think it's going to be a totally different thing. I mean, we'll just see. I mean, if New York has an outbreak, are we going to be able to get actors from New York? Are we going to be able, touring? How is that going to work? If some states are closed and some states are open,
Oh, and
the touring is a completely different.
Oh, I know. I'm sure the tour. I can't even imagine what you have to deal with talking with the tour. I mean, I can't even imagine. But the 2 theaters, the Broadway, the Palms, and the Apple. One might open before the other. You might be down in one.
Correct. Yeah. At this point, we're anticipating that the Broadway Palm in Florida will be opening its doors prior to when we will be able to open our doors.
I would probably say, knowing what I know, just what's going on there, I'd say, probably.
Sure.
Are you guys? I've seen. I get updates from the Prathers about stuff that they're changing. Do you want to talk about when they do reopen? They're already putting. We don't know what the new normal is going to be
Absolutely. And Ed, for us, it's a little different than what it is for traditional theater, where you have your side by side, stadium seating type of situations. We have tables. We're able to social distance a little better.
We'll pull out some tables.
We'll be taking out tables, so we'll be referencing, that as far as the social distancing practices that need to happen. We have hand sanitizer stations. We will not be having a buffet any longer. It will be a served dinner, so that is a completely different aspect as well.
I don't even know when buffets will come back, if they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't know what's going to come back. Yeah, because you guys, and I wanted to get into this, you're a dinner theater, both Apple and Palms, Florida and Lancaster are dinner theaters. Is my
correct?
Okay.
Correct, yes. So
you're not only dealing with how this affects theater, you're also dealing on a second level how this affects restaurant and the restaurant business.
Yeah, it's been hit on both sides as far as that aspect is concerned. So it's a lot to juggle. Thankfully, we have a very strong team of managers that handle one aspect of the operations. I feel like I've had more meetings / Zoom meetings in the past 7 weeks than I have over the past couple of years of collaborating.
I know.
But it's vital. It's vital for us to continue to figure out what our next steps are going to be. But yes, we operate under the guidelines of a restaurant business that provides entertainment. So we have to kind of handle both ends of that. But we will not be having a buffet. It will be served meals. Obviously, your servers will be wearing masks, and this is all going with regulated phases that we have to go through as far as the government advises us and the CDC department advises.
Right.
But we're on a hold, right? We're all on a hold. So until we know what phase we're going to be in,
yeah, because it'll be ridiculous if we do shows and all the actors have to wear a mask.
Oh no, that's not good. Yeah.
Right?
You know what I mean? Or love scenes, like all those little things that you think of, dancing and touching.
We're talking about
Rehearsing. Can we rehearse? Can we bring XMS? Especially you guys do musicals too. Can you bring 20 people into a room and dance and sweat and do all that? So we have to think of even, it's not only the productions, it's gearing up for the productions.
Exactly. And cast housing, for us, we provide housing for our casts. So we have to make sure that we have an efficient amount of rooms. You can't really double up on people being in rooms like you used to. There's a lot of facets to it to consider and juggle before we know we'll absolutely be able to open our doors.
I know. And what is the new normal going to be? Because are we going to, as an audience, going to have to wear masks? Are we going to be limited to the amount of people we can have in our theaters? And then it comes to the point, is it theater anymore? I mean, I have this nightmare image of 50 people in a 300-seat theater with gloves and masks, sitting there
exactly.
with no response. It's I have this nightmare image. Is that what we're going to be looking forward to?
A lot of people would just be rubber hitting.
We could all do we could do Rocky Horror Picture Show. We'd all be prepared for that. We could we'll be geared up to throw things.
And everybody is talking about the new normal. What's the new normal going to be? But it comes to the point, we love theater and we love that. We love that thing that makes theater different from everything else is the audience and the actors together, the communion. Because it is a communion.
It is a
communion of and the actors are really moving and breathing and feeling along with the audience, and it's that shared experience between performer and audience that becomes a communion that is the essence of theater, that nothing else can replace it.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that we don't lose that. I'm hoping that we could, because if we don't have that, we don't have theater, and we have to really align our thoughts. Because this is great. This is great, but it's coming to a point that it's going to be
Yeah, I mean, my next job is going to be Sound of Music, and I was thinking, can I put them all in gas masks? In World War II, I'm trying to be creative, trying to do something.
Image. I know we talk about this. It's like an SNL Saturday Night Live sketch. You know, I
Yeah,
just nuts.
MASH. You could all be wearing masks the whole time. We could take place in the operating room the entire time. These are things that can work.
Yeah. Everything's gonna have to be reimagined. Everything's gonna be reimagined.
You know, and for us, you can see, like, you have to keep your humor. Like, that's the only way we get through life, is to be able to, like, try to find the humor aspects of things. But
And that was my next thing. Personally, now, how you guys doing? Personally, how you dealing?
Good. I'm better than I thought. You know, the first, I'd say 2 weeks, because being an extrovert that likes to go outside and likes to mingle and talk and everything like that, especially food. I love to cook and I love to read new ingredients. And now I feel like I can't touch anything unless I'm buying it. It was trying, but you know, now I'm getting into a groove, I feel like, and all my pets are loving the fact that I'm home all of the time. Yeah. They feel like they're supposed to be with me constantly.
My pets have a personality change, and I really mean that. Like, they're evolving into these different animals that I don't know, because I'm home with them all the time.
All the time.
Right? It's amazing. You know, we have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and they just are in heaven.
I have
I'm
one.
a little concerned when it comes to time to reverse the situation.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking too. They're gonna be in shock. I have the old man Boomer. He's a black cat, big, and he's getting old now. He's like over 10, and he was not an affectionate kind of cat. Like, a real Tom, and like kind of macho, and he swatted people a lot, but he had no claws, so it's nothing. But he's becoming this affectionate bunny now. I'm like, what is up with you? He started yelling now, and I'm like,
who are you?
He's fighting his feminine side. I don't know, but
yeah, we're doing. I feel good. You know, we have a daughter, obviously, and
right. Is she with you now? Is she with you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's somewhere around here.
I think she's with the pets.
I think she's keeping the pets calm, so they're not like.
Because we have a 3-year-old Chihuahua that almost acts like a Jack Russell. That would be here all the time on me.
Oh.
He's sweet. But that's the main concern for us as far as our focus. You know, we still have work, even though it's limited, to focus on and planning. The school and the social life for her, which at 14, you know, is very important. We've been doing a lot of Zoom classes through, you know, different dance studios, which has been great. And, you know, that's something else that we can talk about, what, you know, other theaters, outlets, workshops that are providing to try to do it online and keep it going, which I'm very thankful to. But that's hard too, because sometimes it's just virtual and there's no feedback, there's no personal feedback, and that's really hard when you're trying to teach students.
Especially the arts.
Yeah, because every kid, I feel like, you know, teaching for so long, especially theater, every single kid learns differently. And so for doing a virtual class, especially if a coaching would probably work because it's one-on-one, but with different kids, I know what's going to work for one kid and it's not going to work for the other kid. And I don't want to confuse that with being on a computer and do it virtually.
Right.
You know, I want to make sure that they always get that one-on-one attention.
Right. No. Yeah. Because I talked to some of the people that I work for are teachers, and they teach dance and, you know, singing, and this is on a high school level. I'm like, how are you doing? How do you dance and singing on a high school level?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you teach that virtual? I don't know. We're gonna have.
I know Piper has chorus.
Right.
I know. How do you have your chorus? So I guess we're gonna have to really do some thinking, if you know. And then you think it's the summer, kids really want to be hooked into a computer on the summer, you know.
Exactly. But and that's the other thing. I mean, you have a strong summer workshop program. We have
Yeah.
that as well.
We don't even know how that's going to go.
That's a whole other world of
Yeah,
trying to figure out.
We're having a meeting tonight, and we're gonna talk about what are we gonna do in the summer. That's a big part of Epac is the educational summer camp, and I don't know what's gonna, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I think, once again, we're just all sitting for information at this point, but it's something to consider as far as your planning is concerned. There are phases for camps and childcare, and you just have to look to see if your facility is going to be able to do that. And
Right.
I'm just not sure at this point.
Yeah.
Keeping just small groups together, keeping only certain teachers with certain kids, not being able to really have that final performance that you usually do at the end of the camp sessions where
Right.
family and friends come together to do a performance element of it. So,
Yep. And also speaking about that, the one thing where my heart goes out to, and I'm sure yours does too, especially with your daughter and in being in the arts and arts education, is these poor seniors that are not going to get to do their school.
Yeah.
I know.
You know how important that senior musical was to these kids.
Absolutely. We were really fortunate. Warwick was super
Got
fortunate.
it in the last chance.
They literally were calling, not going back to school for 3 weeks, and it was that weekend, and they said it is up to you as an audience member if you want to come. And they had a pretty decent turnout, so they managed to eke it in. But you're right. But the choral concerts and just the pomp and circumstance of the end of graduation is
prom. I remember how big prom was and how important it was. I mean, now you look back at it, you're going, oh, okay. But when you're living that life, that is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Not only that, I was thinking about like the teenagers that, when they're in that first love and they see each other every day in school, and now they can't even be with them.
No.
Could you imagine being with that first love and not being able to see them for 8 weeks?
Yeah. Socialization is really important. I just, because I know a lot of the kids from Ephrata High School.
Did they do their show? Did they not get?
No, they got up.
Oh.
They had to cancel Wizard of Oz. They had to cancel.
Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, Wizard of Oz. They were there. They were rehearsing, and they just had to close down. And I know about Shrek at Warwick because I lent Jill props.
Yes. We also lend props too. I think you and I combined together help the high school theaters go round.
And I know she was able to get right under that line because the show had been scheduled right under that line.
Yeah. Yes. We know, right, we used to do the middle school program at the school, and we don't do that anymore. Justin and Allison Drogemuller do that, but they couldn't do their show either, and it's sad. It's sad because I think that that's so important during that age. That's the age of those alliances when they're growing up, and their theater friends are so important. And also, I feel the consistency of having that outlet, and if it's taken away from you for too long, then
you start to shy away.
You shy away, and then your confidence isn't even there to want to try that again in another couple of years during that developmental process.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back, those are really, especially if you're a theater kid and you feel that kind of difference from everybody else, in high school, if you're like, the artist kid, and everybody else doesn't really get you on that socialization of the school musical. When you find your peers, you find your group, you feel at home with these people, and to be denied that is.
I know, and theater is so welcoming. You know what I mean? I found that when you're in theater, there's all sorts of kids in theater, and everybody comes in together to work together as a unit, which I kind of love, because you had those kids that were considered like the burnouts, or the kids that were the jocks, or the kids, and they all came together and were theater kids.
They found their common ground.
And don't you love this? I mean, because you work with the kids too over there. And You're absolutely right, Dean. One of the joys for me, and I'm sure for you, when you see all the kids coming together, there's no judgment. I mean, it's a
Yeah, that's
and that's the most
brilliant.
beautiful thing, and that's what gets to my heart when you see a bunch of kids in the theater program. You have all different kinds of kids, and there was no judgment. That
There's
whole
nothing.
fear thing to be a certain way is out the window, and it's such a safe environment for these kids to exist in. So, and that breaks my heart. That that's the most beautiful thing about arts education.
And why theater education is so important, because it introduces empathy. It introduces what it is like to walk in another person's shoes and become that person. And that's why it's such an amazing tool. So we'll hold on to it.
It's teamwork. It teaches teamwork, but a different teamwork, because it really has to be, it's not an opposition teamwork, like in sports, where it's like, you have to be a team to beat the other team. There's no opposition.
No.
It's all just for the sake of being together, a team, and making something work.
And creating. So great.
Really.
Oh, see.
I know. So I just hope we can all get back to what we love to do. I am finding it at first, because I honestly, I work so much. And you guys, we all in the theater, we work. It's always another show or planning another show. And it was kind of nice to stop, honestly, for a bit, and to reassess. And so, where am I? Where do I want to be? What can I work on? Take a breath and reassess and stop. That is over. That period is over.
Yeah, exactly.
I've reassessed a lot, and and I'm itching to get back to work. And what I really miss about it is the social dynamic, the rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
I just really miss, because I'm an introvert, so it wasn't hard for me to be by myself, because that's what I naturally do when I'm not working. But now I'm missing that interaction with other actors, that creative process, the socialization of what theater is, that group dynamic of going in and putting it up. I'm missing that a lot, and I'm hoping we could go back to that really soon.
Real soon.
Yeah, I really do. One thing before we go, Dean, I want to tell you, so you're a cook too. You like to cook too, because I love to cook.
Yes.
Love it.
I'm a lucky girl.
I have been cooking so much. Like, I get my groceries delivered. I just get everything. So I have been cooking so much. I'm by myself, so I've been a food to feed an army. These recipes, I have to go out with more Tupperware and freezer space, because these recipes, like, I made a whole Cuban roast pork the other day. It's like, what am I going to do?
Right?
So,
well, if you want to put it on your doorstep, we can come by and get that from you.
I'm all gone by this.
I have 38 meatballs cooking right now.
Oh God, love it. Yeah, love to go. I find it such good therapy to cook. I'm cooking again. I'm baking. I like to bake, and
I'm the baker.
Oh, you're the baker?
Yeah. He cooks and I bake, and I couldn't agree more. There's something about it that just really helps relieve the tension, and
I
it's
found
a different form of creating.
Recipe for banana cookies. And I wondered how banana cookies taste. I will send you the recipe.
Please do.
A banana chocolate chip cookie. It is incredible. I use white chocolate because I'm not a dark chocolate lover, and I think it overpowers the bananas, but you could use dark chocolate if you like dark chocolate. I switched it to white chocolate, but they're really good. They're kind of addictive.
Okay. I'll take that. My family will love that. I'll take that.
Yesterday, I made an orange plum cake from scratch with the orange zest and everything. I thought
I did that too. I did that it was like a French yogurt cake, and I put orange zest in it too, not too long ago, with a nice glaze on it. So
yeah, I did. There's an orange cake with glaze and frosting on it. So I never zested before. You need a lot of orange. It was like 3 tablespoons of zest. I was like, how many oranges am I going to need to zest?
I know. I know. When you're grating it, you're like, what the heck? There's hardly anything coming out of my fruit. It's not. It takes forever. Yes.
It's not working right.
Working.
I'm going to go into Amazon and see it, because they're like an instrument that makes this easier, like a zester.
They're,
All right,
well,
guys,
yeah, they have the smaller ones, but it takes forever. So,
Yeah.
So,
So-
anyway, it was great talking to you. Oh, go on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
no,
cut
I just wanted to ask, for you and the theater, what's your game plan at this point?
Okay, well, we're good, because, as you know, a not-for-profit, has a board of directors who are volunteers. Basically, you have volunteers running your company, and that's the law of not-for-profits. And they have been, first of all, they have been extraordinary. They could walk away. They don't have to do this because it's all volunteer.
Sure.
And they have done so much, to keep us going. We don't pay rent, thank God, because we raised the money to build the theater, and the borough actually owns the theater, and that was one of the agreements, that we would raise the money to restore the theater. Because you remember the old theater, right?
I do. I was telling
Yeah,
Dean
totally
about it.
do.
I was like, yeah, it was like you'd have to open up the side, the windows, and
Oh, I mean, we didn't care.
hot.
It was like, and it was like 30 people in this little teeny dressing room, and you didn't care if the kids in the park. You just propped open those windows.
Nope.
One
Nope.
little toilet for the whole cast. Oh, it was
And we loved it.
awful. I didn't. I couldn't wait to tear that shit down, babe. But anyway, so we raised the money to build the theater, and so we paid like $1. We paid good rent, which is nothing. So we don't have, that's good. We don't pay
That's
taxes on the
good.
property, so that's good. And we have been very good for the past 2 years financially, and so we're sitting on stuff, and we're fine.
Good.
And I'm working minimal hours. Mostly we're on furlough, which has been fun because I don't want them to drain their money. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, of course.
Right.
there's no income coming in.
Right.
So we'll be fine, I think. Then, but again, like you said, are we going to have camp? That income that comes in from camp. This is important to keep the theater going. We don't know. We did get one of the small business loans, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what we go with there. And we have a July opening, which I call Fairy Tale, which I don't think is going to happen. We have an August opening, which I'm hopeful for. And we have September opening, which I'm hoping. And we will have to cut out some shows. I cut out the heavy shows because I figured when people get back, they're going to want life affirming.
Lighthearted. Agreed.
Oh yeah, nobody's.
Agreed.
And, they're going to want stuff that's going to feel, for lack of a better word, feel good. And
Sure.
And so the heavy stuff I had when I started cutting shows, I cut the heavy stuff and I rearranged. Like Gentleman's Guide is gonna be the musical, and I'm hoping we can get something up this year at this point, and we'll see.
Good.
As you said, we're in a sit and wait game, and you have
Mhm.
all these strategic, you have all these plans, and you have to have all these plans because you're waiting for the button to get pushed and tell you which direction you're going to go in, but we don't know when the
Exactly.
button's going to be pushed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we lift you up, and I pray for the time that we all can entertain again. And I
And
know
maybe I can meet you.
And
Yeah, I was going to say, now finally, maybe we could meet in real life.
We have a potluck or something.
And it was seriously, Dina was very nice actually talking to you and meeting you after all these years and hearing that.
Exactly. It was
Virtual
nice meeting you, Ed.
Very nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. And Lauren, great to see you. Great.
Awesome to see you, sir. Thank you so much.
So
Love
stay
you.
safe. God bless. Love to everybody. Okay.
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 Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.